What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? It's your
stuff, you know, with like tools and whatnot. Hi, little dude. Hey there, reptile lovers. Welcome to another episode of the ChamGirl. We blend cold-blooded curiosity with warm conversations. I am Brittany. Today, we are diving into the special world of chameleons and with a wonderful guest from the Chameleon Collective. Whether you're into snakes, geckos, or bearded dragons, you'll want to stick around for this one. I'm just going to wait for him to join on here. Here we go. How are you?
Hey, Brittany. Doing well yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a busy day, but I'm sure you know. You keep chameleons as well, so I know they keep you busy.
They do. I try to wake up early to get that early morning mist in, come home at a reasonable time, and get that evening mist, and make sure everybody's good to go.
Yeah, no, they keep you so busy. I do like having an automated misting system, but I still do some misting at night, actually, until we get that fogger system put into there.
Yeah, definitely.
So what is your favorite thing about working with chameleons every day?
Working with chameleons, I think they keep you on your toes. You got to make sure that all of the requirements and husbandry and care is optimal. What I didn't notice and what I didn't realize with chameleons is that the external and internal care is really what needs to be prioritized. So, externally, it's easy to kind of tell what's happening with your chameleon, but often with chameleons, it's too late before you can really do anything when they start showing those external signs.
Right.
Keeping up with internal parasites, running routine fecal smears and floats is something that I like to do for my business, and something that I've been taught from like Bill Strand and John Hill of iPardalis. So,
those are two awesome people to learn about chameleons from. John taught me a lot, and recently Bill, I've been interacting with him a bit more, but I've always loved his website and his podcast.
Yeah, I agree. Bill's done a really good job of bringing a community together.
Yes.
Yeah, I highly recommend, if you have not been part of his Circle platform, I think it's free. And it's just a community of chameleon people that get together, talk about chameleons from an educational standpoint. It takes a lot of the chatter that the Facebook groups sometimes have out of it. And so it's kind of really nice to be in that space.
Yeah, I actually did not know about that. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out.
I recommend.
So can you tell us a bit about the Chameleon Collective and how you got started with that?
Yeah, so like a lot of people, I started at a very early age loving reptiles, going outside, keeping reptiles myself. When I was younger, I'm a little older now. We didn't have a lot of the technology and a lot of the knowledge that we have. Yeah, so with the computer, with education, with a lot of the equipment and enclosures we have, we didn't have that. So I think growing up, having reptiles was fun, but also heartbreaking. And so seeing the progression with technology, with education in the community, I felt like I was ready and at a point where I wanted to kind of dive in, take that next step, make a little money off of something that I really love to do.
What was your first reptile?
So it was actually a tarantula. It wasn't a reptile. It was yeah. And funny story is, like, the first night that I had it, my mom got it for me for like Christmas. And it popped out of the enclosure, and I remember being like, "Oh my god!" And I ran out. My mom's like, "You can't run. Like, this is your pet. Like, you got to get back in here."
Was she mad at that? Like, was your mom scared?
She was laughing her butt off.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I screamed so loud that the tarantula actually ran back in the enclosure.
You scared the spider.
I scared the spider. It worked.
Yeah, no, I would have been run in the opposite direction had that happened to me. I've been like, we are out of here. There's no way. I respect them more now, and I'm not as afraid as I was when I was younger.
Yep.
I don't think I could ever get into tarantulas. I respect those that can, though. I respect those that can.
They're so cool. I love them. Yeah, up until I started the business, I actually had a lot of tarantulas.
Really?
Yeah. Had some OBTs, had some Versicolor, had some pink toes. It was easier to keep, smaller spaces. Chameleons take up quite the space.
Oh, yes, they do. They do. It's like my whole basement is panther chameleons with one Jackson's female that I actually got from the Show Me shop in town. Nice. And then I have a helmeted that we rescued. And so rather than that's all panther chameleons, though.
Nice.
All in our basement.
How do you like the helmeted?
He's super cool. He's very cool. I do like him. I will say, I'm figuring out different methods, but that temperature drop is a bit, that's something that's a little different than we're used to with panthers.
Yep.
For him and the Jacksons. And so that was a bit of an adjustment, but I'm actually going to be getting a space in a completely different area for them where I can just basically get it really cool because it's like a 10 to 20 degree drop that they need every night.
They do, and it's something that's difficult about keeping them. I found so the space I'm in right now was the reptile room, but I moved it to the basement because we have some Honelli ourselves. So that nighttime drop was really only possible in the basement.
No, you're right. Well, this basement gets warm. I was talking to Bill yesterday, and I don't even have my heat lamps on now because I couldn't get it below 78, the room temp.
Okay.
Because the basement retains that heat in here. I was like, that's a different issue than I've had in my previous basements. And so that was, I just had to make sure about the heat lamps. So what species are you currently working with now?
So we have the panther chameleons. Both were bought through John. So I have the pairings on the website, but yellow body blue bar was what we were going for. Yeah, our male right now, he's rainbow. He has some spotting of reds in the bars, so he can't officially be called yellow body blue bar.
I understand. Jonathan is a little picky about what he considers rainbow and not. He's a little picky.
And this is why words from his mouth.
No, he's really most of my Ambelobi breeders I got from him. Yep. I think two, my rainbow male, Redline, and Mr. Mondays, my yellow body blue bar. The rest of my male Ambelobis are from him, and a lot of my females.
That's why we go through him though, because we know he's gonna be picky like that.
Oh yes, and it shows too. There's some good looking chameleons that they definitely are.
They are. And then the female, I don't know if you remember, like a couple months ago, he posted some pictures of some crazy yellow body blue bar male and females. I forgot from what pairing. I can look it up on.
I'd be curious. I'm actually curious. I got a lot from Papa Fee. BB.
He's crazy.
Oh, he's my favorite still. I don't have he is still my number one favorite yellow body blue bar.
So Sharon came from Ghost and Manjaka.
Ghost is beautiful. We're all we know all this other person's chameleons, their names and everything.
Yep. So so we're working with panther chameleons, and then the other were the Trioceras honelli, so the helmeted chameleons.
So that's what are they F1?
Yes. So the babies that we currently just had.
Mm-hmm.
Those were captive born. I bought the female. She was already pregnant.
Oh, that's nice. That's a bit of a little winner there.
Yeah, she wasn't big enough to where I was like, maybe she ate a large meal, but over the 2 months that I had her, she grew pretty big.
That's a bonus.
It was
bonus.
Yep.
How many babies did she have?
So she had a total of 8 babies. And we're about to go on a month, and all 8 babies are doing well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I kept them in pairs for the first week, and then after the first week, they're individual now in their own enclosures. We get the nighttime drop to about like, I'd say at highest it gets 65.
Your drops are down to 65?
At night, we get like to 65, 63 in the basement.
Because I know they can actually handle even like in the 50s. I don't want to get that, but they can handle 50s and actually might even love it. I know there's a lot of people that argue that have Parsons and they're in Southern California, but they have gotten to as low as 30 something and they're outside year round.
Yep.
So I'm curious about with the helmeted because they have drastic drops at night, drastic in the wild.
Yeah, and I think the Kenyan locale, which is I think it's the kind that you have too.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure like it gets almost freezing to where they are. Yeah. So.
It does, and that's why I'm curious. A lot of people I've talked with who've had panthers even that have lived longer than that 5 to 7 range, that 5 to 7 year range for the males. They said, well, what we did is we had cooler temps, like cooler than like what's recommended. And I was like, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's actually something I did not know. Like when I was first keeping reptiles, even up until recently, until I started listening to like Frank Payne, John Hill, talking about like colder is actually better. It's not necessarily a bad thing with reptiles.
No.
A lot of reptiles actually benefit from that drop in temperature.
Yeah, that is not anything that you really hear that talked about that much. Even desert species, like the drops that they would get at nighttime in the desert, that too is extremely low.
Yeah, no, it's they can withstand some colder temperatures.
Yes,
like you're saying, yeah, they benefit from it.
So you also, I was looking at your Instagram and your Facebook, and I thought this was really interesting. I don't see this with any other breeders. You offer fecal testing.
Yeah, so I'm a biology teacher. I teach 8th grade science. So I have that background, and then I was taking Bill Strand's course when I started the business. I felt like I just wanted to know everything about chameleons. So I took his reptile parasite hunter course. Yeah, it's a 3-hour course. It's great.
Yes. I love what he calls it though.
Yeah, of course he's got to have something creative. Yeah.
What do we have here?
But he makes it really easily digestible for people that are taking the course. And so after taking that and then going to reptile shows and thinking about like what was my imprint going to be within the community, I felt like, okay, I have this background. I just took this course. I need to start vending at reptile shows, getting my name out there, starting to network. And so I was like, let's offer fecal smears and floats.
So do you do this at expos?
Yeah, so I go with my microscope and I offer one-on-one courses. And if people want to learn right there, I actually bring some of the panther chameleon poop that I have, or people can bring their reptile poop right to the show.
What if like someone buys a reptile at an expo, happens to get a good poop? Can we come to you?
Yep. So I actually ran a test for a Malayan leaf frog and then an Egyptian false water cobra. That was at the Hamburg Reptile Expo.
Have you ever had an expo have a positive result from one?
Well, actually twice. And one was the helmeted chameleon. So she had pinworms. When I bought her, it was at an expo. So I tested her right away. She pooped in the container and it had pinworms. And then the second time, I actually was running tests from my own panther chameleon, and I found coccidia, which was like I already knew he had coccidia, but it was something that I thought I was already eradicated, and it came back.
Was he a wild or no? Was he F1? No, he wasn't even F1.
Right. So coccidia is very interesting. It's environmental. Once you have it, it's really, really hard to kill the oocysts. And so the only way to kill them is through really hot temperatures. So
that's why steam.
Yeah,
I use that and Rescue Now, which is a veterinarian cleaner that's safe for them. So I like anytime I put a chameleon in a new cage or before, because we don't steam with the chameleons in the cage. That wouldn't go over well. But I steam it. I also use that Rescue Now cleaner. And because I know the steam's the only way to get rid of that one in particular.
It is. And I was actually presenting with John a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about how There's really not a lot of research done currently right now as to how a chameleon coccidia is passed on. So chameleons in captivity are able to pass on coccidia. This can happen intragenerationally. And so we don't know if this is from like cellular. So like as the embryo is growing within inside the mother, is the embryo or fetus gathering the coccidia from that stage, or is the coccidia somehow within the egg or on the eggshell? So
substrate even that the eggs are in too.
So there's like so many different ways.
Scary. That's so scary.
Yeah. So that's why we offer the fecal smears to educate people and try to like make it not so scary.
Well, because that is like, if I remember what I read correctly, if your chameleon is healthy, I mean, even though that's not a parasite you want, if they're healthy, nothing like they should be okay with it. But isn't that a wreck for babies?
Yeah. So your best weapon is the immune system and your husbandry and care. Often in the wild, there are multiple different types of parasites that chameleons will have, and their immune system will be able to battle it, or they'll just live symbiotically. So parasites will just live internally in the parasite and not kill the host because it doesn't benefit the parasite. And the parasite gets to reproduce and pass off its offspring. But in captivity, what can happen is if we're not careful and we're not keeping up with the husbandry and care, feeder insects are walking over the fecal matter, particularly with chameleons. That's what the problem can be exacerbated and lead to potentially fatal consequences.
Because it's not them eating it that we're worried about, like eating their people. It's the bugs. If you like, that's why I always try to make sure I don't have crickets left over after I feed, because if they eat it overnight, because crickets are nocturnal. Then they munch on it when they wake up.
Or anything that like pools the water. And so like if the poops on a leaf and that water happens to trickle down and then pool the oocysts, and that pooled water, your chameleon could drink it. And then
that's why it's like standing water. I know is like a big enemy to chameleons. Standing water, stagnant air. Got to keep airflow going all the time.
So true. That's so true.
How long have you been doing the fecal testing at your expos?
So this has been going on it's coming up on a year right now.
A year.
Yep. It's been something local. We offer a pickup service. It's really just trying to get the education out there that parasites exist. As long as you're keeping up with, again, it's just making sure people are doing the right thing by their reptile. And as long as they're cleaning the cage, they're bringing their animal to the vet for annual checkups, they're responsible keepers. And that's really what I'm trying to bring to the community is that level.
That's awesome. So have you gotten to where you're selling, oh my goodness, chameleons yet at your expos?
So we have not, no.
Well, I was going to say, you said a year, and I was just wondering in my head, because I know like anytime I go to an expo and I'm selling, the chameleons, I don't have a moment half the time to even like walk away to use a restroom, to get a drink of water or nothing. So I'm picturing you like chameleons, talking to people, chameleons, and like, oh, you got some poo for me? And like multitasking out the poo. No.
So actually, we still have not hatched our first collection of panther chameleons. So we're like about 8 months in right now to incubation.
It takes a while.
The helmeted chameleons are coming up on a month of age, so I want to give them like 2 more months in my care to then sell them officially. And then the Dumbara are like a separate project that I'm working on, but I'm not selling any of them. So like,
wait, what are those? What did you say?
They're like critically endangered pygmy lizards.
No way.
They're so cool, and they give live birth. That you can pair them up. Yes.
So they're like that big, and they give live births. And how little are the babies?
Oh my gosh, like just as small as the helmeted chameleons, like on your thumbnail big. So
that's so insane. I'm curious what's their average live birth? Like how many babies do they have?
So anywhere from like 2 to almost a dozen babies.
That's so many babies. And that like little itty bitty lizard.
They look like little balloons when they get pregnant. They're so cute.
Like with like little stick legs, just like like walking on them.
And it's similar requirements to the helmeted chameleon. So if you have an extra cage, and you have some space down there, you could.
I mean, if there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly.
I'm about ready to start drilling shells into these concrete walls to put some cages over the extra large cages. Like I'm at that point if I want to get more. Oh goodness, that is so neat. So what are your plans? Are you just trying? Is that more of a conservation?
Yeah, it's more of a conservation project.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I actually put together a grant for my students are going to be breeding them in the classroom. So a pair
wow.
going to be in there full time.
You're going to teach these 8th grade. You said 8th grade, right?
8th grade, yeah.
Yep. So you're going to be giving these 8th graders. They may not truly know how valuable that what you're teaching them is, because you're teaching them how to take care of like one of the hardest species to take care of in reptiles.
I hope it sticks.
Like for just part of their education, which is insane. That's so amazing that they're going to have that experience. That'd be an amazing experience. I never had that in high school or middle school. I wish I did. That would have been incredible. So are they going to take them home, or is it like at school? How are you doing that with them? Yeah,
so they're housed at school. The kids will come in the beginning of the year. They go through a microscopy unit, so they run fecal smears and floats. I teach them how to do that.
Wow.
In the classroom. Of course, like there's other types of cells that we look at under the microscope and we talk about, but like reptiles as like low key the backbone of the crab. Wow. Kind of like
that's so cool.
Sprinkled it.
So I have honestly entertained the idea of getting a microscope to be able to look at my like the fecal matter from the chameleons I have, because I mean when you get to a certain point, I have over 60 right now.
Yep.
And I know those breeders have way more than I do, but I in my head, I picture the cost of sending a fecal sample. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money.
It is.
How much would you look into, or what would you say if like a keeper wants to get their own? I know there's different levels. Like there's some that are extremely high grade, like very expensive, and there might be some that are a bit more doable.
Yeah, I would say if you're looking to spend money around like $250, I would say is like the average amount that you would be spending on a microscope. That can go up to 400 times magnification, a little bit higher, would attach to the computer. But you can get away with microscopes that are much cheaper. They just might not last as long, so they won't be able to stay in focus, or you might have to like tune the microscope more frequently than you would have to if you spend more money.
How much did you say the price range was? I don't know if I just missed that.
I would say like around 250
for the cheaper end.
For like the average, like a good microscope is like $250.
Okay. I don't know why in my head I was thinking thousands. I don't know why I was thinking thousands. I mean, I know some can be.
You could. You if you really wanted to go with like different types of filters and different types of fields, then you could spend more money, but you don't need to.
No.
If people want to, they could reach out and send me like an email through my website, and I have a list that I can send them of like different types of microscopes that I recommend, and then the supplies that they would need.
So that's actually such an awesome service that you offer. So I know we've been talking a little bit about food. What's the weirdest or funniest thing that a chameleon has done in your care that you've seen?
They stress me out more than anything. Honestly, they stress me out.
I know they do.
I'm like, is something wrong with you? Like you haven't moved like in this way in a while. Like I don't know. I would say like the male chameleon I have, he's pretty pushy when he wants to come out. So the tray I have right now that collects the water, there's pockets that he can kind of like see through down onto the ground, and he wants to go explore. So he'll like occasionally go down there, and if he knows I'm in the room, he'll go down to the floor and then like come up and be like on the glass, like, yo, like bring me out. Like I know you bring me food, like I want to come out and just explore. He doesn't really do that all the time, but like that's something that I found a little bit funny that I didn't know. I was a little concerned at first. I was like, why is he going to the ground? Like,
why are you at the bottom of your cage? What are you doing? I'd be freaking out too. Almost everybody would be.
Yep. But no, he's just being a weirdo.
No, they're very smart too. I was just on my live last night. Someone was asking me like, why do you think they're smart? And I'm emitting a bad hop. habit of mine. And sometimes I forget to latch the bottom.
Yep.
And they know that.
Yep.
They know that. And Mr. Mondays, he's in this one.
Yeah.
Mr. Mondays, when he was like in that like breeding season, like extra, like I gotta get out to get to the ladies stuff, he'll look and check and he'll see and he'll start he'll push it. He'll like wiggle his, and it's nuts. So make sure you keep the bottom latch locked. Always.
Brittany, all right, so you're making me think of, all right, I got one. Okay, so you're making me think of something now. So this is the helmeted chameleons. You got to watch out. So I keep them in a condo enclosure, and they're separate, but I have to like put a screen on the front to make sure there's enough ventilation. So the screen like has some give, and the female like figured out that there was like just enough give where she could crawl her way through the like onto the male's side. And after giving birth, no more than 2 days, she's like in his enclosure. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I want to give you a break. Like, so I had to make sure that I cinched the middle of the enclosure so that she couldn't escape, because she kept going over to his side. And like
she's ready.
She was ready, but he didn't even want to. He was like, yo, I don't want this right now.
Ew, I'm not ready yet. You just have babies.
Come on, like, give it a rest. But, yeah.
So they crack me up. I have like right now one of the females is just in her her feeding tray. This is her passive aggressive way of telling me I would like more food, even though she's like, you don't need no more food. That's what she's all day long, just in her feeding tray. She's like, this she'll understand that this is what I want.
Yep.
And they all have like little. I know it's kind of controversial to say reptiles have personalities. I don't know of a better word to use, but they all have little different quirks, personalities about them that makes them unique. And that's just who they are.
Yep.
I absolutely love it.
Yep.
It's you definitely have to be secure. They may seem like they move slow, but they can move fast when they want to. Yeah, I had a lot of fun seeing all of you all too. That was an amazing show. I love going to St. Louis shows. I've always had a good time at the St. Louis shows. And that was fun to not actually be vending and just be kind of like looking around. So
that does gotta be nice. It's so like vending's so much fun, but you never get to look.
Oh, no, you don't get to do it. Like you're vending and it's fun. It really is. Like you're talking about your passion to people because that's what they're asking about for the most part. My dogs, I don't know what they're doing up there. Yeah, I was going to. So when you were getting into the fecal, did you like, this has just been awesome service and it sucks on here in the South? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're down there by yourself, but although it's warmer, I mean, you don't have to deal with like the disgusting winters that I know. You're in the East Coast, right? Like up north.
Baltimore. Yeah, I'm Baltimore area.
Yeah. You know what winter is there? No.
I was born and raised in Massachusetts, so like I'm a Northeast boy.
This is all I've ever known. Cold winters. No.
Yes. Darkness.
Have you? Oh man. But so what made you, well, I mean, no, I've never been to an expo where I've seen the service like what you offer at all. That'd be cool to be able to have that offered at different. So where have you vended? Have you been like at different shows?
So Repsicon Baltimore, show in Pennsylvania, the Hamburg show. It's a large venomous expo. So I've been there, a couple small shows, but currently I think I'm the only one.
You are.
That offers that.
That's when I was looking at your pages and I saw that. I was like, that's neat. And because, I mean, do you have any limitations, like any reptiles that you could not do that with?
So we have limitations on the type of parasites that we can test for.
Okay.
So we can only test for coccidia, nematodes, and then some entamoeba, but we couldn't test for like nido or crypto, anything like that.
What's required to see those?
Higher power magnification, as well as potentially staining some of the cells so you'd be able to see them with the Ovisys. But I just don't have that background or technology. So really what I try to offer is like a 101 approach to parasite identification and like hunting parasites through microscopy. So like a 101 microscopy course. So like, this is what you need. This is how to run the tests. And also, like, this isn't a veterinary service, so if you do find something, like, it's good to know, and now you're going to make the best decision for you and your reptile. So hopefully that's a vet trip.
That would, because I think, well, people may not realize that you can't get the medicine that you need to get rid of the parasite without taking it to the vet.
Yeah. And it's really good just to have a good relationship with your vet. So if you do find something and you have a good enough relationship, then they might be able to just go off of a picture that you send them. I don't know any vets that currently do that. But if you had a good enough relationship with your vet, maybe that could be something.
So what's the most surprising thing that you've learned from parasite checks?
Sorry, what was that?
What's the most surprising thing that you've learned through learning about parasites and checking for parasites? Are they a lot more common than we might think?
A lot more common, I would say. If people are interested, there's one scientific article or scientific experiment that's been published. Dr. Rachel Sue down in Texas, she published an article that it was like in 2022 that looked at almost 300 different types of species of reptiles and amphibians at reptile expos. And granted, she didn't keep track of what was wild caught and what was captive bred, but out of like the 290 something species she tested, like 51% of them came back positive with parasites.
And these were just at expos.
And the highest percentage of those was 87.5% of those were of the positive tests. Like break it down by species, and by species, what was like the highest rate of parasite prevalence? It was tortoise and turtles at 87.5%, and then it was chameleon second at 87%. So it was like really like just like a minuscule amount, but turtles, tortoises, chameleons have parasites commonly.
So like bearded dragons, they were not as high. Different.
Bearded dragons, yeah, they were like 50 something, maybe 60. I don't remember the exact.
What were the top five? You remember the top five?
The top five was the turtles, tortoises, chameleons. Snakes was around like the 60%. Something was 70%. I forget like all the
That
top.
is so interesting.
The interesting one, or the one that stood out to me, was crested geckos came in at like 52%, and they're all captive bred.
Wow. But would it? So with snakes, I mean, okay, I've never kept a snake. I want a sand boa. I still want my sand boa, but anyways, I don't know who else listening. That's such a very non-passive aggressive hint at my sand boa I want. But would you say the contribution, like, because we feed them a feeder, like you give them whatever, a mouse, frozen, whatever. So unless that has a parasite, they're not having like with chameleons, like turtles. I can really only imagine with turtles like in the water, especially like how much it would be exposed to just being in the water.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about turtles either. I'm not trying to say I do.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you feed them the rat or the mouse, and that's it with the snake. So would that probably contribute to the much lower positive results for them?
It could. It could also be like their immune system based upon their niche in the environment. So like chameleons and more like arboreal type reptiles or amphibians are a little bit more prone to parasites and like them being potentially more hazardous, whereas terrestrial lizards like a bearded dragon, like people, again, there's not enough research to really say, but there's a lot of bearded dragons that have coccidia that live a completely normal life and live a long time, and people never know that they even have coccidia. So it's like, again, like how detrimental is the parasite? There really hasn't been enough research done to understand that or to say for sure.
I would definitely like to read that article. Actually, I'm going to find that. Message me. Send if you have the link or anything to that. Like, let me know. I want to actually read that.
Yeah.
So, would you say what is the biggest factor in our reptiles getting the parasite? Say you're somebody, even if you have amazing husbandry, you can still get it. It sounds like from what I've read. So, what would you say is a contributing factor? Because you know that people at expos, like like for the most part, people that are bringing animals to expos, they take really good care of them at home.
Yep.
And they don't even know. You wouldn't even assume for the most part.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I feel like it's a myth about, because I was under the even things that Bill has told me about parasites. I think he at one point said that it's not as common with like a captive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think sometimes the not as common, people might interpret that as it never does.
Yeah. I mean, I can say based upon some of the research that's been done, the diversity of parasites in wild caught is higher. Whereas like captive bred reptiles, they'll like have one particular type of parasite.
Really?
Couple types of parasite that would exist in the captive bred species, but you won't find like multiple different types of parasites within a captive bred animal more often than not.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I mean, they're exposed to so much in the wild.
Yeah. And so like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean, no.
Yeah, good. I was just saying, like with like the coccidia in particular, there's the two different types. So there's the Coleomeria and the Isospora, and for me, it was really just making sure that the environment was clean and I was steam cleaning consistently. And so I think what happened was when I found coccidia the first time, it took about 3 months of treatment to fully eradicate the coccidia itself, where I was getting clean fecals. But in that time, I was steam cleaning. I was changing all of the plants. So if I found too much fecal matter on a plant, I would just take out the whole thing.
Clean it up.
Like the bromeliads, I took out. Any pothos that like had any fecal matter dripped onto it, I would just cut off, or I would take out the plant entirely.
Oh yeah, I mean, because it's
it's.
So how often do you steam clean?
So now I just steam clean once a week, Saturdays.
Wow.
And I'll just take the animal out. Again, I won't take out like everything,
right.
But like I'll steam clean all of the pretty much the exposed parts, all of the leaves, any areas that had any fecal matter, I'll steam clean, and just like spray down the bottom with F10. Again, steam clean it. Like I kind of have my method to the madness, but what I found is that if I'm not steam cleaning and I don't keep up with it, that was like that one time that the coccidia came back.
Oh gosh.
It was like there's like a couple weeks where like life gets busy and you're like you just like spot clean. You just like taking the poop out with gloves and like treating that one spot, but you can't cut corners.
And I know one of the standard teachings, at least when I first started keeping chameleons, was, spot clean every day, Yep. But deep cleans 2 times a year.
Yeah.
And and like you're saying, every week you're doing it. And if you notice,
I mean, I feel like I have to. Once I found, I found Isospora and that's environmental, I'm gonna do it. Because again, like I'm a breeder, like I'm gonna have babies in the same facility, and just making sure that like everything is as clean and like parasite free as possible. And so if that makes like if time is the thing that makes that happen, okay.
No, I'm thinking in my head, I was like, oh man, like I'm like looking at my cages, like, I gotta go. Like as soon as we're done, I'm like, I'm steam cleaning, like taking lizards out. I'm just gonna stay till like 3 a.m. steam cleaning. I mean,
you have a lot more than me. You have a lot more.
I would have to do it in a day. Like I would have to, okay, we're gonna do the boys this day, then we'll do the girls this day, the juveniles this day.
Yeah,
that's so it is, but I mean, because I'm like one, like I noticed one of my girls. Bonita, no, I'm sorry, that's Gnarly Carly. Gnarly Carly decided that, hey, even though like you already cleaned my poops, here's another one. And it's like inwardly, I'm like twitching. I'm not doing it on my live right now, but I'm like I'm gonna go and get it.
Yep. Yeah, like,
but it doesn't even matter. Like, I mean, I know that helps, but that's scary. That's a very scary. But it's good to know because like now we know, hey, like, this is actually it can be an issue.
Yeah.
We need to clean more.
Yep. Yeah, and like I don't know, like for me, again, running the checks, like I was able to pinpoint, like okay, like Ozzy has coccidia again. I gave him a treatment, and I didn't find an oocyst again. So like, it's just part of being a keeper or breeder, and once it's there, it's kind of like you gotta check.
I think us as breeders, one thing is we should try to hold our, we not try, we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard because we're teaching. A lot of times we should be teaching people who are coming to us. Like we should know, we should. So honestly, I really appreciate hearing that because in my head, I'm like, you need to improve in different areas. So I'm going to do more deep cleaning with the steamer. And I mean, yeah, I think because somebody on my live, I was cleaning out a cage of that, and they're like, "Won't that kill the plant?" I'm like, no, it's great.
Yeah.
It won't kill the plant.
Yep.
Which is no, thank you actually, because now I'm really just like, I got to do it now. So I meant to ask this earlier, and so for your service that you offer your expos, in case somebody wants to, I want to bring in my whatever they have. A sample to you. Could you walk us through the process of what that looks like from someone handing you a poop bag to you giving them the results?
Yeah. So if a customer comes up and they want to run a test, I would offer if they would like to learn first. And if they want to, great, they can hang around and stay. If not, they're welcome to like walk around the expo, hang out, come back in about half an hour. And what would happen is I would run the test. I would first recommend a smear, which is just like a very simple, quick test that I can run in 5 minutes. It's really helpful to find a lot of like the living, moving protozoa and flagellates. You're still able to see the oocysts and ova, or like the egg sacs. But what that would do was allow me to see if there are parasites. If I do find parasites and I can identify the type of parasite it is, then I would recommend running a fecal float, which again, I'm not at a vet, so they have the centrifuge machine that would essentially shake the canister with the feces in it at a higher rate, but I do a passive float, so I just shake it with my hand. And so what that does is it just breaks up the fecal matter, and then I allow that feces to sit in a sugar solution that's really dense with sugar, and the oocysts and ova are lighter than that, so they rise to the surface. And after 10 minutes, I can collect the oocysts and ova on the surface of the solution with the cover slip. So I put that on the microscope or underneath the microscope. And at that point, I could, by using a certain type of microscope slide, tell you the density and the prevalence of the parasite in your feces. And so at that point, I'd be able to have a score chart where it would say like, you're at a low risk, you're at a medium risk, or you're at a high risk. Yo, what's up, Q? How you doing, buddy? My guy right there, Baltimore Snake Man.
He's a Baltimore. Do you keep a database of records of the trends that you're seeing? Yep,
Baltimore in the building, yes, sir. Yeah, I do. So I have a data sheet for every reptile expo that I go to. So what I do is I take micrographs, and which are pictures and videos of the microscope slide underneath the microscope. So the customer gets a digital copy as well as a physical copy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so if I find a parasite, they would get a physical copy or a picture, and then they could bring that to the vet. So like, hey, I went to the expo, this is what they found. The vet might run another fecal exam at that point, but at least like you have a picture and you're like, hey, like this is something we found. Like this could be a reason why my reptile's looking or experiencing behaving a certain type of way. And so that's really kind of what I do. And then the database right now, I just haven't collected enough data to like really say that there's certain types of trends.
Okay.
I would say, in terms of like the trends that I'm noticing, chameleons come in number one with parasites. That would be the one trend I could say.
Oh, you filthy animals. They're all looking at me like we want more food.
Yeah.
This other food. But it is really good information for a customer. It really is. It really is. And that's such an awesome. It is such an I've never seen. That's why when I first reached out to you to come on this podcast, and I started looking more at you. I was like, I've never seen this before. You should be real. I don't know if you can do this. If there's a way, if you could do like a live, where you're going through a sample, like we could see it, like what you're seeing on the under the microscope? That would be so cool.
So, well, actually, Quinn and I have been talking about running some sort of a video. We could do maybe a live where we have the microscope.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
People just come in like, oh, what's that? Because I mean, I feel like even though we're all cool people, we're all really geeky. So like we were like, yes, we want to look at this.
Well, yeah, and that's like why, like, I don't know. I felt like running the test. Everyone there is like curious and like gets inspired to learn about many different things from their reptiles. So, like,
hey, it's a poop guy.
Like, I get to look at a whole new world. Like,
that is actually cool to be able to have a one-on-one experience doing it yourself as well. If people if they want to, I would want to be able to try and recognize what you're seeing. Because at this point, when I look at what I see, people are like, oh, it's that thing right there. And I was like, what thing? I don't see the thing that we're talking about. And they'll like circle it. And I'm like, so I would love to be able to learn, like, what are we actually looking for to determine that?
There's so many nights where it's like, all right, what cool things can I grab around the house? Like, Friday night, let's have a little drink, let's play some music, and let's bring out the microscope, and we'll just like get the epidermal layer of a leaf.
We are at a whole different level now of like, we are really truly we're nerds. Like, this is so cool. Just like it's good as poo.
Yeah.
Do you have any big goals for the Chameleon Collective in the future? More species, more testing, different projects?
So right now, it's really like I'm focused in on these panther chameleon babies and hatching.
Where's the after party at?
Right? Back in the science classroom. Let's go. In the lab. But I think maintaining course with just staying focused in the panther chameleons, making sure I'm producing babies that are healthy. I'm producing a really good customer service for people buying those chameleons. Continuing the parasite, smear float test. I'm currently working with a shipping company on making this something that would be like a national service. So if you're in the U.S., you would be able to ship to us on a 2-day service. So it would be a little bit more than the current price of what I'm offering. But we're just like, it's in the test stages right now. So we're just trying to figure out like cost, if it's even possible, making sure that the feces is going to stay fresh enough. But once everything's good to go, it's kind of like the next step would be to roll this out and be able to have people ship from all over the United States.
That would be an amazing service. What do you have any different locales you want to get into with panthers?
So I honestly kind of fell in love with the helmeted chameleons. I thought I was going to be with like the panthers and like maybe go nosy bay or something. Like, nope. These helmeted chameleons are so cool. They're live bearing. The requirements.
The males are just like, I always say when I get out my Humphrey Bogart's his name. Yeah. I really think if chameleons had. If you listen to music and had famous chameleon singers, that he would be like your emo rock band. Like, that's what the helmet would be. It's an emo rock band. Like,
and they're just so like
Chameleon Romance or something. I don't know what their band name would be.
Wow, that's a throwback right there.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
They look like those spikes, and then their little horn where their helmet is, and they're just like just so little and full of anger.
Well, they're like little like bulb nose.
Yes, that's exciting. Totally, it would be my Chameleon Romance.
Love that.
No, so no more. You just are gonna. Will you stick with panthers? Wait, I thought you said you like the.
Panthers are a 5-year project. I'm giving it 5 years. If honestly, it's from a business standpoint right now, is like in space standpoint. If I can make enough money, if I can produce chameleons that are healthy, that are beautiful, and I can continue that, great. There's also some really great panther chameleon breeders right now. Like they're really
great. I was searching about that.
There are like you got John Hill. Like there's just, I don't know. I feel like for me, as from a business standpoint, and as a person that loves reptiles, loves the reptile community, I got to be creative. I got to find my niche.
There's not many helmeted.
Not many helmeted. There really isn't.
Not many helmeted or carpet. I think really it's Frank with the carpeted.
Yeah.
And so he may not like it if you do, but although we need more, we need more.
So Frank, I mean, Frank's my guy. I love Frank.
Yeah.
He's the one that like I go through with the Nabara. I'd say like him and John have been big mentors for me.
That's awesome. It is a community. Like here, I'm talking to you. You're in Baltimore. You said Baltimore, right?
Yep.
You're in Baltimore. I'm in Missouri. Jonathan's Maryland. Where's Frank at?
Frank's Pennsylvania. He's not too far.
Oh, y'all are you three. You all have it so lucky.
Let's go.
I don't know anybody here. Like I'm talking to people in California. Bill Cross, I'm not Bill Cross. Oh my gosh, Bill Strand, James Cross.
James is amazing. Gotta love James.
So cool.
Bill Cross. James Strand.
Yeah, it's their new. It should be their new podcast name. Like Bill Cross.
When they're together though, they're goofy. They're so funny.
Oh, they're fun, but they keep entertaining too. And like I go with the Parsons. I learn about the Parsons from them a lot, and that's a whole. There isn't that many Parsons, but they're so hard to breed. Oh gosh, they're difficult. They're difficult.
I've not even ventured into that, but they're beautiful.
Oh, they're gorgeous. But my banana man's my male, and he saw. I haven't been like putting them together, but I'm just like letting them see each other. And he sees Lemonade, the female, because I got these guys from Bill Strand. They were part of his parasite study.
Yeah. Okay.
And banana man, like he sees Lemonade, he's like, oh. And it's like, he's like, curious. I was like, why?
Why can't you just? Why don't you just do something like?
No, he's not like a male panther. They're always down. They're always down.
Yes.
Always.
Yep.
Parsons, no. So they're difficult. So helmeted and carpet chameleons, I think would be another. Really, the helmeted. I would like to get a female for Mr. Humphrey Bogart.
Yep. Hey.
Are there locales of helmeted or not?
They are. They're there's species from Uganda, or a locale from Uganda and a locale from Kenya.
Do they look a little different?
They do. The ones from Uganda are actually a lot more. All right, I wouldn't say more colorful. I would just say they have a more diverse palette of colors.
Because my guy has a little bit of blue. So when he would, is that?
That's the Kenyan locale is like a blue with that bright yellow head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they like they can get like this greenish hue with that brown like leaf texture. The babies are they're interesting. Some are very green. Some are like that orangey red like rust color. And then
is that about gender or not, or sex or not?
So at least from what I've understood is the only way to sex them is the cloaca.
So you're gonna want to wait till they get the bulge.
Yeah, and so like even when I like sell these babies to whoever wants them, whoever's buying them, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sex them. Like I got you, Britt. Like I got you.
I want a girl. I want a girl.
I hope it is. I'll try my best to sex. I'll just send the pictures and like you can just like go through them.
Because they're so little, that'd be so difficult to tell until they grow a bit more. Even his is not that noticeable.
No, even when I was looking at them, like I actually had to send the pictures to Frank because I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know.
I'm doing that all the time now. It's like I feel bad because I had last year. I had male panthers that were 4 months old, looked like females. I go to take a picture of them. Like, no, I'm a male. I was like, no way.
No way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So now I'm like second guessing myself. I'm like, I think you really look like a female, but that's been.
It's like something down the road that I'm already stressing about. I'm like, okay.
Oh no, I didn't even think about that because how small they are. If that's the only way you can identify, yeah, I would be too. Because I can't even do it the same now. I'm still struggling after my last experience where I had these like slowly developing males.
Yeah,
their males are gorgeous. They were just waiting a bit.
We're just gonna have to help each other out. We'll just like send each other pictures.
Is this a male or female? Can you tell me? Well, I guess that will have to be a wrap. I really appreciate being able to talk to you. It was very informational.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Well, I'll be back again next Wednesday. And I'll have another guest. He's a youngster, just getting into the reptile community. Well, he's been in it, but he wants to start an educational program with it. And he's young. So I wanted to branch and get our future breeders. So that'll be fun.
Look forward to watching.
Me too. Me too. I'm excited for that one. Well, you have a wonderful night, and thank you again for coming on with us.
I'll see you, Brittany. Thank you. Have a good one.
See you. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
In the glow of screens, we weave our dreams. Through YouTube's lens, we see new themes. Voices rise, a global choir, sharing stories